Leo Tolstoy, or Lev Nikolaevich Count Tolstoy in Russian, born on September 9, 1828 at Yasnaya, Polyana, Tula province of Russian Empire, and then died on November 20, 1910 in Astapovo, Yazan province. He is a Russian author, a master of realistic fiction, and one of the world's greatest novelists. Tolstoy is best known for his two longest works, War and Peace and the Anna Karenina, which are commonly regarded as one of the most finest novels ever written. War and Peace in particular seems virtually to define this form for many readers and critics. The death of Ivan Ilyich is usually classed among the best example of the novella. Especially during his last 3 decades, Tolstoy also achieved world renown as a moral and religious teacher. His doctrine of non-resistance to evil had an important influence on Gandhi. Although Tolstoy's religious ideas is no longer command the respect they once did, interest in his life and personality has, if anything, increased over the years. As he lived humbly on his great estate, practicing radical asceticism, in constant and conflict with his wife, in November 1910, he was unable to bear his situation any longer. He left his estate incognito. During his flight, he contracted pneumonia and he was dead within a few days. And the synopsis of the selection: Ivan Dmitrich Aksionov, a Russian merchant, is the protagonist of the story. He has wife and multiple youthful children. He used to drink alcohol frequently, but now he only does so sometimes. He gets ready to go to a fair one day to market his goods because of a nightmare she had in which Aksionov arrived home with great hair, which his wife claims she is distraught. Aksionov dismisses the dream, which he assumes that his lucky signs, and also he departs. He comes into another merchant on the way to the fair. In the evening, they rent apartment at an inn. Officials detained Aksionov the following day after learning that other merchant had been murdered overnight and his money had taken. Aksionov is detained after the police uncover a bloody knife in his backpack. Aksionov is distraught that no one, not indeed his wife, believe his innocence. He has been ordered to serve out the rest of his life or days in a Siberian prison labor camp. He turns to a religion for solace, and over the times he becomes reputed by the guards and the prisoners. Then after 26 years, the new prisoner named Makar Semyonich arrives. Aksionov soon deduces that Semyonich was the one who actually bugged the merchant and framed Aksionov. On the night, Aksionov finds Semyonich constructing an escape tunnel. Then guards later discovered the tunnel and asked the captors to tell them who dug it. Given that Semyonich would likely to be executed, Aksionov decided not to inform the guards anything. Then Semyonich confessed to Aksionov that he was the one who killed the merchant, and Aksionov falsely accused after being moved by Aksionov's actions. Semyonich asks Aksionov for forgiveness and informs the authority that Aksionov is innocent. But then, just before being released by the authorities, Aksionov passed away. And with the context of the selection, God Sees the Truth But Waits is a short story by Leo Tolstoy. The story is set in 19th century Russia and tells the tale of a merchant named Aksionov who is wrongfully accused of murder and sent to a prison. Even though he is innocent, Aksionov is unable to prove it and spend the rest of his life in jail. While in prison, he befriends a fellow inmate who confessed to the crime that Aksionov was accused of. However, Aksionov accepts his fate and believes that God sees the truth but chooses to wait until it's the right time to reveal it. The story explores the themes of justice, forgiveness, and faith in God. God Sees the Truth But Waits by Tolstoy addresses the societal issues, specifically in social class, in terms of unequal privilege of one individual who does not commit a crime and yet they are still arrested, like what happened to Aksionov, and which he was sentenced for over his life, and like other people, they put their faith in God. Social forces shape the power relationship between the classes of people in the story, which can be seen that people who have the power are those police officials who must ruling and implementing the peace and protecting the innocence of individuals from misdoing. Although in the story, police are based only on the knife that has blood found on the suitcase of Aksionov, and then the money that they assume he took to victim. On the other half, people who don't have power or privileges are those people who were accidentally cornered in the situation as one of the reasons that they are near to the crimes happens. With that, police not have any second thought to do a DNA or lab test for knowing if Aksionov is the real murderer, so they arrest him and sentence him to jail. In terms of urban value or values that reflects the story, as we all know that in this place category, people often have an average to higher throws of life than others, in which they achieve a good prosperity. Thus, with that, some of them use inequitable ways to behave to be faking good to the eyes of citizens rather. Another point is that although it is previously known that Aksionov is a merchant because of his position as a district officer, the official who had the right to ask him about the deceased merchant overcame his despite the fact he was in the middle of the society. Like the Marxist happened in the Philippines when Filipino walk and march along the street of EDSA to end the presidency of President Ferdinand Marcos as to begin a new era marked by true freedom and democracy, which President Cory Aquino seems to push them to have. The protagonist's struggle is symbolic to a larger class struggle because in a way that everyone whose innocence and been guilty without deep investigation wanted to have freedom or privileges. He wanted to have justice and be able to speak up and be heard truthfully. Action of illustrate how one wrong thought and perception in a situation can change one's life.